Studies have shown that black women are the highest paid and the most educated. I myself graduated with
I myself is redundant. Studies also show that black women are the least likely to be married. From ages 16 to 64, approximately 72% of black women are in the labor force. You make up 92% of the labor force that are employed, and 24% of that are below the poverty level. Here's where it gets tricky though. Out of that 95%, only 35% of you worked full-time, and your median earnings for full-time in 2018 was $36,695, compared to all women who made about $42,238 approximately. So you are in fact not the highest paid. It's simply a lie that you've been telling yourself so that you can feel strong and independent. 24% of you made part-time wages, and 40% of you made no earnings at all. The earning scale that you are most represented in is between $30,000 to $49,000 a year, and 64% of you generally hold white-collar occupations. What exactly is white-collar? I'm glad you asked. For the purpose of this chart, white-collar occupations include, but are not limited to, jobs in management, business, computers, office, legal, education, etc. In other words, jobs that require the most and pay the least. Only 26% of black women made $50,000 or more in 2018 compared to 48% of all women, and 29% of black women were living below the poverty level compared to 14% of all women. Compared to all women in the United States, black women who worked were less likely to work in occupations that may be considered white-collar and were much more likely to hold service jobs. Only 64% of working black women held white-collar jobs compared to 71% of all women, and blue-collar occupations were held by 8% of working black women. These studies indicate that you are working yourselves to the bone and are receiving less than comparable wages to retire on. And lest we forget, you are also not retiring with a companion that may help you. Studies have shown you are the most likely to have children out of wedlock. In other words, the men you have children with are the most likely to leave you after they have children with you. One could argue the misdirected, pompous, and arrogant attitude that you express in this video is a reason why. Black women are less likely to be married than black men. As a matter of fact, there are about 364,000 more black men who are married than black women, even though black women are 51% of the black population. While an overwhelming percentage of black women are married to black men, 94%, about 86% of black men are married to black women. And black women were the head of 27% of all black households in 2018, which is more than twice the rate for all women at 12%. These are households defined by the U.S. Census Bureau as having a female head and no spouse present. Only 37% of black women who gave birth were married, which is almost the opposite for all women at 66%. In other words, you're single-handedly keeping the black population in poverty and black children fatherless. To be smart is not to accrue accolades of a formal education, but to keep a nation or population of people intact and alive. So even though you might be enrolled more than other women, their education relative to keeping their communities thriving is bearing out in real life. And all you've had to show for it is a piece of paper and a loud mouth. Success is in companionship, for life is about relationships. Smart people work smart, not hard, and you're upset with your men because you don't know the difference. Bars.